The bully just accidentally glanced at the bully and was pressed against the wall by the bully. However, the bullies didn't know that they would soon regret this behavior. The boy's face turned red and he couldn't breathe. Many classmates surrounded him, but they were just watching the fun. Seeing this, the younger brother wanted to let go, but the bully insisted that he continue to pinch. Fortunately, the teacher arrived at this time, and the tense atmosphere stopped. The bully had to explain that he was just joking, but the teacher didn't think so. At this time, the bully threatened the boy again, saying that if you still want to go to school, you have to be smart. How can you do this? This bully's bullying behavior was not the first time. During the exam that day, the boy was not concentrating on answering questions and started to hit himself in the face. This scene shocked the classmates and the teacher was also concerned. The boy said silently. The reason why he did such a strange thing was that the bully in the back seat drugged him. He couldn't bear it anymore and walked straight to the bully. Then, he waved the book beside him and slapped the bully in the face. Then he used a ballpoint pen to poke the back of the little follower's hand, and finally punched the little follower's flesh, teaching the school bully a lesson and making him a new man. This boy is called Xiao Yan, and he is a well-known academic bully in the whole school, but he likes to be alone, so he has few friends. He wears headphones to read books in his spare time, and the feud with the school bully started a few days ago. On the exam that day, Xiao Yan performed exceptionally well and won the gold medal in the mathematics competition, while the school bully in the same class also won the bronze medal. But because Xiao Yan stole the limelight this time, he was completely hated by the school bully. When Xiao Yan received the certificate, the whole class was silent. On the contrary, after the school bully got the bronze medal, there was warm applause. The school bully returned to his seat jealously and stared at Sean viciously. He hated being overshadowed by others. After class, the school bully would bully his classmates as usual, not only making them dance with joy, but also buying each of them a bottle of drink. At this time, the school bully saw Sean still studying alone in his seat, so he grabbed his shoes and threw them at him. After saying that, the school bully did not forget to mock him a few times and then pretended to apologize to Sean. Sean responded to the school bully chairman with a calm face. But this also made the school bully feel embarrassed. Then he came to Sean and started to mock him again. Sean didn't give the school bully any face. It's better to remember a few more words than to say them. Just when the school bully was furious and wanted to teach him a lesson, a baseball team broke into the classroom. They were looking for a guy named Xiu Hao in this class. Seeing this, the classmates pointed fingers. After Xiu Hao woke up, he learned that the other party was looking for trouble because of a girl. This girl had a crush on Xiu Hao, but he didn't care about her. This made the other boy very jealous and ready to beat him up. This was too cruel. Fortunately, Xiu Hao was a martial artist. He beat these people down with the momentum of 5 divided by 2, and then told the other party domineeringly that he was just his younger brother. Even the school bully and others were scared out of their wits by this scene, but Sean stared at him sharply. It turned out that during the fight, they accidentally dropped Xiao's pencil case on the ground. Seeing this, Xiu Hao quickly picked it up and apologized to him, but Xiao still refused to give him face. Seeing that I didn't leave, Xiu Hao smiled helplessly and turned away. But the conflict between Xiao and the school bully was far from over. The next day, they threw Xiao's sportswear directly into the toilet. When it was time for physical education class, Xiao found that his sportswear was lost. He turned his head to look at the school bully and others, and at the same time he understood that this must have been done by them. But because there was no evidence, Xiao had to give up. When he came to the playground for training, he could only start running without wearing sportswear. Since Sean put all his energy into studying and lacked exercise, running was very strenuous for him. On the contrary, Xiu Hao crossed the finish line first with a time of 6 minutes and 12 seconds, while Sean fell behind and was out of breath after running a few steps. The school bullies laughed and imitated his running movements, mocking him. Xiu Hao couldn't bear them bullying him like this, so he picked up a shoe and hit him on the head. In the face of absolute strength, the school bullies didn't dare to lose their temper at all, so they had to pick up the shoe and return it to Xiu Hao. In the locker room, the school bullies were still laughing at Sean. Just when they were complacent, Sean came straight to the school bullies and asked them to stop. But this trick didn't work on the school bullies at all. However, just when Sean was about to leave, the henchman pushed Sean aside. The school bully saw his embarrassed look and realized that he was just bluffing. When Sean was dying, fortunately the teacher who came interrupted their behavior, which made the school bully very upset. He had to explain that he was just joking and threatened Sean not to tell it, otherwise he would kill him without mercy. Sean was threatened and had to conceal it. In the evening, Sean was still studying quietly. At this time, there was a knock on the door. He looked and found that the person who came was Xiaohao. It turned out that Xiaohao was a part-time deliveryman and remembered the wrong address. He really didn't know how to explain it for a while, so he had to ask Sean for water. Without waiting for Sean to agree, Xiaohao also walked in. Sean had no choice but to pass some water over, and Xiaohao drank it without hesitation. When they parted, the two probably didn't know that they would become best friends in the future. The next day, a transfer student named Xiaoxi came. He wore a pair of glasses and was very gentle. His honest appearance also attracted the attention of the school bully who bullied the weak and feared the strong. Just when they were about to bully Xiaoxi, Sean walked behind the school bully. "Wang, don't do this anymore." Seeing this, Sean picked up a ballpoint pen and warned him again. Seeing him so arrogant, the school bully also cursed and planned to fight. But at this time, Xiaohao, who had woken up, came forward to persuade him, which stopped the fight that was about to break out. But the school bully became even more furious. In order to make Sean bow down in front of him, they thought of the thing that Sean valued most, that is, grades. Then he found the gangsters and bought some mysterious competing products. The next day, the school bully found Xiaoxi again and told Xiaoxi the secret he had hidden in his heart. It turned out that Xiaoxi had been bullied before, so he transferred here. The school bully promised to keep it a secret for him, but the condition was that Xiaoxi must listen to him. After that, he took out a sticker from his pocket. Xiaoxi knew what it was, but he was so scared that he didn't know what to do. He had no choice but to obey the school bully's orders. Soon the mock exam arrived. Since Xiaoxi was sitting on the table behind Xiaoyan, the school bully asked him to stick the sticker on Xiaoyan's neck. Xiaoyan didn't care and had to continue answering the questions. At first he didn't notice anything wrong, but when he started answering the questions, he found himself dizzy. Xiaoyan could only recite the exam questions silently to prevent himself from falling asleep, but then his whole face began to sweat. As time went by, Sean's vision became a little blurry. Finally, he staggered to the bathroom and tried to keep himself awake by washing his face, but when he returned to his seat, he was still unconscious. Sean slowly touched the back of his neck and realized that he had been tricked. In order to stay awake, Sean suddenly hit his face non-stop. This weird behavior also shocked the students present. He stopped only when his cheeks turned red. Faced with the teacher's questioning, Sean could only say that he was fine. Soon, the test was over and it was time to check the answers. However, Sean found that he had answered a question wrong, which he shouldn't have answered wrong, which completely angered Xiaoyan, who didn't want to cause trouble. He turned his head and aimed his eyes at Xiaoxi in the back seat. Xiaoxi also glanced at the tyrant. Sean didn't hesitate, stood up, and walked towards the tyrant's seat little by little. His brain quickly calculated various possibilities. Then he picked up a book and smashed it on the tyrant's head with all his strength, and then quickly inserted a ballpoint pen into the back of another person's hand. This brutal behavior shocked the classmates, but Sean still chased after him relentlessly, punched the tyrant in the face with his fist, and kept venting his anger on him until the other party lost the ability to resist, and then let go. The school bully fainted at this time, but the matter was not over yet. Just when Sean was about to kick someone, Xiaohao stopped him in time and asked him to stop. In fact, the reason he did this was to protect Sean, hoping that he would not make any big trouble. But at this time, Sean was already overwhelmed by anger, picked up a chair and kept swinging at him, but was unexpectedly punched back by Xiaohao. At this time, he completely forgot that Xiaohao was a martial artist, but Sean was still unwilling to give up and was about to continue to beat Xiaohao. Fortunately, the teacher arrived in time and stopped all this until the evening. The teacher took Xiaoyan to the hospital to apologize to the school bully, but the school bully's mother kept nagging and threatened to send Xiaoyan to a juvenile detention center. Xiaoyan had no choice but to take out the sticker. This was the contraband that the school bully had put on his neck. The school bully was panicked when he saw this, but still denied that he did it. Xiao Yan had guessed that he would not admit it, so he directly threw the school bully's school bag down. Sure enough, there were contraband items inside. The school bully's mother was shocked. In order to prevent the matter from getting out of hand, the teacher had to persuade the school bully's mother to transfer her son to another school. But the school bully still had no intention of repenting. He thought that all the mistakes were caused by Sean, and he was also brewing revenge in his heart. The next day at school, the school bully's two followers found Sean and threatened him not to leave after school, but Sean couldn't tolerate the expressions of the two little followers and applauded. Then the three of them went to the bathroom together, and the surrounding students also came to watch the fun. As soon as he entered the door, Sean locked the door calmly, then took out the ballpoint pen in his pocket and kept pressing it. The reason for doing this is that in Pavlov's experiment, as long as the bell rings and food is fed, the dog will drool, because the dog has formed a conditioned reflex, and the two people who were frightened by the pen before will hear the sound of pressing the pen again. The same conditioned reflex will produce fear, and Xiao Yan won without fighting. In this way, Xiao Yan walked out of the bathroom unscathed. Seeing this, classmates also began to gather around him, trying to get close to him, but Xiao Yan just wanted to hurry up and review. The school bully on the opposite side still didn't give up, and spent a lot of money to hire a gangster, hoping that he could help him get revenge. Because Xiao Hao stopped it in time that day, Xiao Yan also invited Xiao Hao to have a meal to apologize. The two had lunch together, and their feelings deepened a little, but Xiao Yan didn't know that a fierce battle was about to come. In a blink of an eye, it was time to go home from school. Xiao Yan also apologized to Xiao Yan because of the sticker incident, but Xiao Yan was still angry and ignored him and turned away. Sure enough, as soon as he arrived at the school gate, the gangsters blocked Sean's way. Sean didn't want to pay attention to them, but suddenly the gangsters stopped him directly, ordered the gangsters to take the money and take Sean away in front of other students. Xiaoxi, who was hiding in the crowd, saw this scene. He probably felt a little guilty about Sean, so he went straight back to the classroom and woke up Xiao Hao, who was sleeping soundly, asking him to help. However, Xiao Hao couldn't spare time because he had to deliver food, so Xiaoxi had to offer 3 times the salary to buy his time. Xiao Hao couldn't resist the temptation and had to agree. The two quickly rode on their motorcycles to rescue people. At this time, Xiao Yan was led to a dead end by the gangsters, and the school bully threatened to break Xiao Yan's hand so that he could no longer hold a pen to study. Despite the huge crowd in front of him, Xiao Yan remained calm and calculated various possibilities in his mind. Then, he pulled out the ballpoint pen on his chest as quickly as possible and stabbed the gangster, but unexpectedly, the other party was also very fast. Then, Xiao Yan took out his mobile phone and smashed it, and then quickly picked up the flower pot and threw it out. As expected of a school bully, he had calculated the speed and time very accurately, and the other gangsters were knocked to the ground before they could come to their senses. Just like that, Sean dodged and won the first round. However, just as he was about to leave, the thug picked him up and threw him aside. The school bully took the opportunity to kick him a few times, and even had someone press Sean's hands to the ground and flatten him. Just when Sean was discouraged, Xiao Hao arrived in time and knocked the two men to the ground with a flying body. Then he turned around and helped Sean up. As soon as he turned around to look at the school bullies, the thugs got up and rushed over again, fighting with Xiao Hao. After all, Xiao Hao was a martial artist and was not panicked at all, and the thugs had also practiced martial arts. At this time, the school bully saw that Sean was alone and called the thugs again, asking them to rush forward. Because the other side had more people, Xiao Yan was knocked to the ground again not long after. Just when the school bully was about to attack with thunder, Xiaoxi suddenly appeared and successfully saved Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan was deeply moved after seeing this scene, and the previous grudges disappeared at this moment. The battle ended just like that. The gangster did not take advantage of Xiao Hao, and seeing that he could not beat Xiao Hao, he had to leave. In the end, only the school bully was left there stupidly, and Xiao Yan warned his mother again to hold me tight. After experiencing this ordeal, the relationship between the three people improved. In this way, they became close friends. In order to thank the two for helping him, Sean was going to treat them to a barbecue, but when they arrived, they found that this was actually Xiao Hao's workplace. Because the fight had wasted a lot of his time, Sean had to help temporarily. Finally, after a busy day, the three of them happily ate barbecue together to celebrate today's victory and their friendship. On the other side, the gang leader told the gang leader what happened today. The boss felt that this was too embarrassing. Several people were not even the opponents of middle school students. He was furious, raised his hand and punched twice, and immediately taught the younger brother a lesson. The gangster boss is ruthless and will do anything for money. For this reason, he even created a gambling website to lure all kinds of money-loving teenagers. At the same time, he also does usury business. If the other party can't pay back the money, he will beat them up until their parents pay money to redeem them. It can be said that he is extremely ruthless. In order to vent his anger on his men, the gangster boss decided to let the school bully ask Xiao Ian out first. The next day, the school bully found the three people and asked Xiao Ian to find a lawyer to speak for him and prove that these contraband items were not his. In that case, he himself would not have to go to the juvenile reformatory. The school bully played the emotional card, saying that if I died, my mother would not be able to live. Then he knelt down to Sean. Sean softened his heart and agreed to his request. But when they arrived at their destination, they found that they were tricked by the school bully. The other party was not a lawyer, but a gangster who had been lying in ambush for a long time. The gangster directly said loudly to the three people, "My little brother was seriously injured, and he didn't buy insurance. You have to compensate me 15 million. Just as Xiaohao was about to attack, the gang leader took out a dagger and threatened him, warning him seriously, take him in and tell them that they must pay the medical expenses within 3 days. Seeing that the other party was Xiaohao, a desperate criminal who was not easy to mess with, they could only silently agree to this overbearing clause. The gang leader even cut a cut on Xiaohao's arm before leaving. Then the gangsters left, leaving Xiaoan and the other two at a loss. The next day, as expected, the gangster boss began to wait at the school gate. No matter whether it was day or night, as long as he left the school gate, the gangster boss would follow him all the time, and even chased him to Xiaohao's workplace. It seems that the gangster boss will never give up until he gets the money. Xiaoan was really helpless, so he found Xiaomai, the gangster boss's subordinate. The two had met once before. One day it was raining and Xiaomai happened to not bring an umbrella. Xiaoan happened to pass by, so they contacted each other, had dinner together, and even after exchanging contact information, Xiaoan saw that Xiaomai was not a bad person, so he asked about the identity of the gangster boss. Xiaomai advised him to be careful because the gangster boss was a scumbag. For money, he would do anything, and said that you must do everything you can to raise money for him, even half of it is fine. I was heavily in debt at the time, so I had to become his accomplice, and I still haven't been able to get out of it. Although Xiaomai said so, Xiaoan knew that even if he gave money, it would definitely not solve the problem. In a blink of an eye, it was the third day to pay back the money, and Xiaoxi said helplessly, "Give it to me." Then he took out 15 million and lied that the money was given by his parents. But under Xiaohao's repeated questioning, Xiaoxi finally, when he said that the money was obtained by secretly selling his father's watch, the two immediately rejected him. At this time, Sean took out his mobile phone, which contained evidence of the criminals' crimes sent by Xiaomai. It turned out that the criminals opened a fraudulent gambling website, and the young people made some extra money at the beginning, and when they lost all their money, he would make them lose everything. In the end, the gangster boss will use high-interest loans to drain their wealth, and threaten their parents if they can't pay it back. All the evidence of the transaction crime is hidden in the safe of their lair. But now, these photos alone are useless. They must arrest all the people and evidence in their lair, and then notify the police to arrest them all in one fell swoop. Just when several people were planning to fight. While they were planning, the gangster boss appeared outside the school gate again. There was no way, they had to act impulsively. Xiaohao decided to use himself as bait first, and then let Xiaoan call the police to arrest the criminals after confirming their lair. Then Xiaohao walked up to the criminal and told him that he had a big business to raise medical expenses. When the criminal heard that he had money, he decisively took Xiaohao to his lair. As you can imagine, the timid Xiaoxi couldn't help it at this time. It turned out that he thought that the problem would be solved as long as he paid the money. Then he took a taxi to chase him. Xiaomai also came at this time. She felt something was wrong and told Xiaoan the guest address. Then Xiaoan confirmed it with Xiaohao. Soon, Xiaohao followed the criminals to their lair. However, the boss was not stupid. As soon as he entered the door, he wanted to confiscate Xiaohao's mobile phone, but Xiaohao refused to agree, and was beaten by the gang leader. After taking the mobile phone, the gang leader also saw their chat history. Knowing that the police were coming soon, he kicked Xiaohao unconscious with an angry kick and ordered his brother to leave immediately with the evidence. But as soon as they walked to the door, they met Xiaoxi, who was following behind. Seeing Xiaohao die behind him, he was so scared that he quickly took out 15 million cash and begged the gang leader to let them go. But when the criminals found him alone, they took him away. It was too late when Sean and the police arrived. The criminals had already left the house, and the police also left because they did not have a search warrant. Sean had to climb over the wall alone. He broke into the house and saw a pool of blood on the ground. Sean felt something was wrong and hurriedly called Xiaohao to confirm, but no one answered the phone, and the safe where the evidence was kept was empty. Xiao Yan then realized the seriousness of the problem. After the gang leader knew that he was betrayed by his men, he immediately called the gang leader and asked him to bring Xiaomai over. The gang leader realized the seriousness of the problem, but he really couldn't bear to let Xiaomai get hurt, so he gave Xiaomai some money and asked her to hide. But Xiaomai's brother was still in those people's hands, and she couldn't just let him go. At this time, Xiao Yan also called to inform her that the gangster had already fled with Xiaoxi and Xiaohao. Xiaomai wanted to use herself as bait, and when she saw the gangster, she asked Xiao Yan to bring the police over. Xiao Yan ran away after seeing the address. At this time, the gangster saw that the gangster was still protecting Xiaomai, so he kicked him decisively and then gave him a big brother-like education. Xiaomai saw that the gangster was beaten like a bear, so she shouted at him to stop, and he was also caught. At this time, the gangster grabbed a knife and prepared to stab Xiaohao. Fortunately, at this critical moment, the gangster brother took action in time, threw the gangster boss aside, and then started a fierce fight with him. Although the gangster boss usually bullied others, he still knocked down the gangster brother with his bare hands and kicked him. Fortunately, Xiaomai attacked from behind and knocked the gangster boss to the ground with a stick, and then took up a dagger to threaten the gangster boss, but it was useless. The gangster boss directly grabbed Xiaomai's neck. Fortunately, at this critical moment, a police siren sounded behind them. Seeing this, the gang leader quickly put Xiaomai down, and then Xiaoan came over panting. It means that the police are here and will soon find evidence of your crime. The gang leader was immediately shocked and ran away. The people who survived the disaster breathed a sigh of relief. However, just as they were about to leave, the gang leader came back. It turned out that the sirens were played from Sean's mobile phone. The angry gangster wanted to teach them a lesson, so he cut a wound on Sean's handsome face with a knife, which scared Sean so much that he quickly retreated. Fortunately, a real police passed by at this time. The police pulled out their guns when they saw the fight. When they were about to call their companions over, the gangster pushed his men in front of him and ran away alone. Sean saw it. Shishi followed decisively and finally caught up with him at a corner. Xiao Yan raised his hand and hit him with a stick, but was thrown over the shoulder by the gangster and fell to the ground. Just when the gangster was about to kill him, Xiaohao arrived in time and saved Xiao Yan's life. The two of them finally knocked down the gangster together. On the other side, the gangster decided to stay in cover and directly let Xiaomai and her brother go, and he delayed the police on the spot. In the end, the gangsters were successfully captured by the police. Just at Xiao Yan. When Ian and Xiaoxi were recording their statements at the police station, a man in a suit let Xiaoan go and erased their records at the police station. Then he took Xiaoxi and the gangster to another room. The man in the suit closed the curtains and asked Xiaoxi to fight back, saying that this was your father's order, but Xiaoxi refused. The man in the suit had to teach the gangster a lesson himself. He punched the gangster and beat him to a pulp. Then he wanted to show Xiaoxi how to fight. The poor gangster wanted to resist, but was beaten again. Xiaoxi, who was afraid of trouble, had to close the door. On the other side, Xiaoan met Xiaomai after coming out of the police station, and then the two went to the hospital together. Visiting Xiaohao, Xiaoan was very curious. Xiaoxi's family background could directly erase all their records, and all the expenses during Xiaohao's hospitalization were paid by Xiaoxi's father. He must be the boss of a certain company. Xiaoan's answer left them speechless. No, Xiaoxi returned home naked and trembling, standing there. He was about to face his father spanking his big butt with a golf club. But the father didn't know that his way of education would completely push Xiaoxi down the wrong path. The next day, Xiaoxi went to school, and his classmates looked at him with strange eyes, curious whether the three of them really caught the criminals. Xiaoxi did not hide it, and he enjoyed the feeling of being watched. During the meal, the three of them made an appointment to have a big meal together on the weekend. Xiaohao said he wanted to take Xiaomai with him, and Xiaoxi agreed without hesitation. But before leaving, Xiaoxi opened his social account, but found that Xiaohao followed Xiaomai but not himself. Their photos made Xiaoxi envious, and the three of them went out to play together. However, Xiaohao only paid attention to Xiaomai and basically ignored Xiaoxi, and even went out to buy coffee and became a tool to pay the bill. This made Xiaoxi very angry. At night, they went to KTV to sing. Xiaoxi, who was left out, planned to go out to buy some wine, but unexpectedly he ran into the classmate who had bullied him before. He was so scared that he quickly hid. However, when he returned to the private room, he found Xiaomai was making a phone call. It turned out to be the classmate who bullied him. Xiaomai also told the other party where Xiaoxi was. Xiaoxi got furious when he found out and rushed to Xiaomai to hit him. Fortunately, Xiaohao stopped him in time. The aggrieved Xiaomai slammed the door and left for some reason. Xiaohao ran out to comfort her, but the next second, the classmate who bullied him came. Xiao Yan noticed something was wrong from their conversation. The next day, Xiaoxi went to school and was suddenly awakened by his classmates when he was sleeping soundly. He rushed over to question his classmates without saying a word, but his classmates laughed at him and thought he was nothing and relied on the support of Xiao Yan and Xiaohao. This made Xiaoxi very angry. Just as he was about to take action, Xiaohao stepped forward again to stop him. He angrily shook off Xiaohao's arm and angrily told him not to hug him again in the future. Xiaohao was at a loss for a moment, and Xiaoxi was in a bad mood these days. He then missed school for several days, and Xiaohao and Xiaoan were worried about him, so they came to ask about his situation. Xiaoxi also told his troubles, admitting that his father was a politician and that he was adopted by his father in public when he was in politics. In order not to drag down his father's political achievements, Xiaoxi never dared to argue. For this reason, he was bullied for a long time and had no choice but to transfer schools. Since the last time in KTV, that group of people started to harass him every day, Xiaoxi was forced to turn off his phone. In order to help his friend solve the problem, Xiaohao decided to meet the group of people in person. Then the three of them came to KTV together. Xiaoxi apologized to them as soon as he entered the door. The other party was immediately laughed at, thinking that he must be crazy, and mocked Xiaoxi. Xiaohao didn't waste time, he directly grabbed the man's ear and forced him to apologize to Xiaoxi by force, but the other party's attitude was not sincere at all. Xiaoxi slapped him directly, and the other party was so angry that he slapped back, and even knocked his glasses away. Xiaoxi was so angry that he picked up the microphone and wanted to hit him. But Xiaohao didn't want to make things worse, so he stopped him again. But Xiaoxi didn't appreciate it at this time. "Why do you always boss me around? You told me to stop, so I stopped. Do you know what they did to me? Have you ever thought about when I stopped you? Am I your follower? I have to cooperate with whatever you ask me to do." Xiaohao was so angry that he pushed him. Xiaoxi said nothing, his eyes were full of tears of grievance, and finally looked at Xiaoxi's haggard appearance, and turned away silently. This also made Xiaohao and Xiaoan a little puzzled by his behavior. At this time, Xiaoxi, who was going out, happened to meet the school bullies. When he was about to leave, the group of people in the KTV also came over. The relationship between the two schools has always been bad. As the saying goes, there is no room for two tigers in one mountain. Seeing Xiaoxi being bullied, the school bullies took the group of people to the parking lot, beat him up first, and then robbed all the money on him. However, the leader of the group seemed unwilling to give up. He stared at Xiaoxi fiercely, and the sound coming out of his mouth seemed to curse him. Xiaoxi couldn't bear it, so he kicked him. At this moment, Xiaoxi was almost going crazy, his mind was full of images of his father putting pressure on him, and images of him being bullied by them for a long time. At this moment, his anger that had been suppressed for many years finally broke out, and the other party was so scared that they dared not provoke him again. After the end, Xiaoxi and the school bullies went to the bar, and Xiaoxi generously took out all his money to treat the school bullies to a meal. At first he was a little timid, but after drinking for 9 hours, he couldn't control himself. He first unfollowed Xiaohao's account, then took a drink to the next table to pick up girls. Xiaoxi enjoyed this feeling very much. Under the influence of alcohol, he gradually lost himself, forgot the past, and officially took the first step on the dark road. The next day, Xiaoxi returned to school in a daze. He ignored Xiaoan's greetings. Tiger then walked straight to the school bullies and recalled the fun of last night with them. After class, he boldly went to the toilet to light a cigarette. Seeing Xiaoxi willing to fall to this level, Xiao Yan couldn't bear it. Then he dragged Xiaoxi to the corridor and asked him why he was so close to that group of people. Xiaoxi said that Xiaohao never looked at him straight in the eye and always treated him as a running dog. Unexpectedly, Xiaohao heard these words, and Xiaoxi turned around and left without saying a word. In the evening, Xiaoan talked with Xiaohao and felt that Xiaoxi must have been used as a gun by Xiaohao. The clothes and shoes of the group of people in the bar were all bought by Xiaoxi. After all, they liked them the most. This is the kind of person. But Xiaohao thought that Xiaoxi wanted such a life, because only in this way would Xiaoxi feel safe. The next day, Xiaoan found the school bullies again and warned them not to try to catch Xiaoxi again. However, the school bullies did not take it seriously at all, saying that this was all Xiaoxi's wish and they could not stop him. Xiaoan looked at them coldly. At lunch, everyone was lining up to eat, but Xiaoxi and his friends cut in line. How could Xiaohao let them succeed? He threw one of them out. Everyone else was startled and hurried to line up, leaving Xiaoxi standing alone. Xiaohao didn't move at first. Thinking that they were good brothers in the past, he advised him to line up. But Xiaoxi chose to ignore Xiaohao. For Xiaohao's sake, he wanted to hear Xiaohao's opinion. But Xiaohao was also incredibly silent. Then Xiaohao didn't say much and beat Xiaoxi to death. Seeing this, Xiaoan hurriedly stopped him. Xiaoxi glared at Xiaohao and left. However, as soon as he walked out of the school gate, he decided to hire thugs to beat Xiaohao to death. The bullies in the school then remembered Yin Jie, who was also a boxer. Finally, under the temptation of 1 million won, Yin Jie was also very happy to stand up for Xiaoxi, and the time was set on Saturday, Xiaohao's birthday. After he left, the school bullies said that Yang Jie had been defeated by Suho before, so in order to be on the safe side, the school bullies decided to make some small preparations in advance. So while Suho was delivering food, they secretly stepped on his motorcycle. Suho realized something was wrong when he was delivering food, but it was too late. The speed of the car was getting faster and faster, and he hurriedly dodged several cars and finally fell to the ground. After seeing this, the school bullies fled in panic for fear of something happening, leaving Xiaoxi alone to stare at him. The next day, Xiaohao dragged his injured leg into the classroom, and as soon as he sat down, he saw Xiaoxi staring at him closely. Seeing that look, Xiaohao also realized that everything that happened last night must be related to Xiaoxi. When the get out of class was over, he did not forget to remind him, "Xiaoxi, go out and get busy, I told you to do it." Soon it was Xiaohao's birthday. Just as Xiaoan and Xiaomai were preparing for his birthday party, Xiaomai suddenly received a message from Xiaoxi, saying that there was a mysterious gift for Xiaohao, asking him to come and receive it, and also told him not to tell anyone else. Xiaomai didn't doubt it and went to see Xiaoxi directly. She thought Xiaoxi wanted to reconcile, so Xiaomai apologized to him and said that she shouldn't have answered your call without permission that day. Xiaomai wanted to improve the relationship between the few people, but Xiaoxi didn't care at all. At this time, Xiaomai turned her head and found a group of school bullies sitting not far away. Seeing Xiaoxi's cold eyes, she immediately realized that this was a trap. At this time, Xiaoan was calling Xiaomai, but no one answered. She accidentally saw a message in Xiaohao's mobile phone. She clicked it and saw that it was sent by Xiaoxi. He also sent a photo of Xiaomai being kidnapped, forcing Xiaohao to go to a designated place, otherwise he would kill her. Xiaoan recalled the grudge between the two and understood everything. In order to prevent Xiaohao from being hurt again, he prepared himself to bear it alone, then deleted the chat history, turned off his phone, and hid under the sofa. Finally, he lied to Xiaohao that he was going to buy something and asked him to wait for him. Then he followed the address to an abandoned building. Xiao Yan walked and observed the terrain. When he came to them, Xiaoxi showed a look of shock on his face, but the school bully was very happy. They had always had a grudge, and today they would settle it together. Seeing this, Xiao Yan pulled Xiaomai away. The school bully and others chased after them. Xiao Yan saw that there was no way to escape, so he asked Xiaomai to call the police first, and then he fought with them alone. Sean quickly counterattacked according to the terrain characteristics, then picked up the iron rod and walked towards the school bully, who was even more frightened. However, just as Sean was about to attack, a voice called Sean. It turned out to be the boxer Inga who arrived. He was not afraid of Sean's iron rod at all, and his punches were fast and accurate. Soon, Sean fell to the ground. Seeing Sean lying on the ground, the school bully took an iron rod and was about to hit him, but was stopped by Xiaoxi. However, how could the school bully miss this opportunity? He didn't take Xiaoxi's words to heart at all, turned around and beat Sean severely. When they were tired, others took turns to come up, beat and scold Sean. Sean had no power to resist, so he had to let them do whatever they wanted. Xiaoxi saw all this, but did not step forward to stop them, but chose to run away. At this critical moment, the school bullies also found Xiaomai and the police rushing here. After everyone found out, they all ran away immediately. Before leaving, the school bully did not forget to mock Xiaoan in front of him. Xiaoan had fainted on the ground and could only wait for the police to rescue him. At this time, Xiaohao had woken up, but Xiaomai and Xiaoan had not come back, and a bad premonition emerged in his mind. On the other side, when Xiaomai was calling the police, she was suddenly interrupted by Xiaoan, who woke up. She told the police that this was her own business. She just fell accidentally and no one else was there at the time. The reason she said that was because she didn't want Xiaoxi to be implicated, but Xiaoan didn't. Ask Xiaomai not to tell Xiaohao about this, after all, they are all his brothers. If Xiaohao knew about it, he would definitely not let Xiaoxi go, and then it would be troublesome. Afterwards, he called Xiaoxi and told him to stop doing that. Xiaoxi remained silent because everything had just begun for him. The next day, Xiaohao saw Xiaoan and Xiaoxi in the classroom. Neither of them came. Xiaoan was a top student and naturally would not skip classes. Xiaohao called Xiaoan, but Xiaoan did not answer the call in order not to worry Xiaohao. Later, she sent him a text message saying that she had something to do at home and asked for 2 days off. When Xiaohao asked Xiaomai, Xiaomai was also hesitant, which made Xiaohao very puzzled. He came to Xiaoan's house at night and rang the doorbell, but no one opened the door. Xiaohao suddenly had a bad feeling. Helplessly, he found the school bullies the next day to ask, and after some questioning, the other party also revealed that this matter was related to Xiaoxi. After class, the school bullies were curious, was Xiao Yan beaten to death for not coming to school? But they didn't know that Xiaohao happened to hear their conversation. If eyes could kill, they would have died many times. In the end, the school bullies could only line up obediently and wait for Xiaohao to vent his anger. Punch after punch, finally the fourth person told the truth. After learning everything, Xiaohao fell into deep self-blame, so after school, he also found Xiaomai and asked which hospital Xiaoan was hospitalized in. Seeing that he already knew everything, Xiaomai no longer concealed it and said that Xiaoan could be discharged today. Later, Xiaohao came to Xiaoan's house and saw that Xiaoan was safe and sound. At that moment, he couldn't help but feel a lot of joy and guilt in his heart. Although Xiaohao didn't reveal everything, he didn't want his friend to risk his life for him. Xiao Yan tried his best to cover the wound on his hand, but it still didn't escape Xiaohao's eyes. This time he didn't continue to ask, he knew that he had to solve the problem himself. Yes, he was going to explode. Xiaohao now had only one goal, that was to find Xiaoxi and avenge Xiao Yan. As for Xiaoxi, it was miserable. After his politician father knew about his fight, he punched and kicked him. Xiaoxi had long been accustomed to it and could only lie on the ground and let his father find him. At night, he got rid of his bodyguards and quietly slipped out. At this time, he turned on his mobile phone and found that Xiaohao kept calling him and threatened him with photos, saying that if he didn't answer the phone, they would kill the school bully together. At this time, Xiaohao was constantly forcing the school bully to ask Xiaoxi out, and his fingers were about to loosen. Fortunately, Xiaoxi called back at this time, and the two finally made an appointment to meet at the boxing gym in Inga. When Xiaohao went to open the door, there were already 7 or 8 people waiting there. Then he walked directly to Xiaoxi and asked him to take it away from him. He said that only in this way can he be your brother, and my faith will always be there. Yes. Seeing that Xiaoxi was unmoved, Xiaohao punched him in the face. How could the frail Xiaoxi withstand this punch? He fell to the ground in an instant. Seeing that his boss was injured, Inga asked Xiaohao to go to the ring. Xiaohao was of course willing to accompany him to the end, but before that, he had to warm up first. With his punch after punch, he knocked several younger brothers to the ground in an instant, and now only this former defeated general was left. Before going on stage, he glared at Xiaoxi fiercely, as if announcing that he would teach him a lesson later. On the stage, Inga was even more arrogant and picked up his phone, ready to record the game. Because he had lost to Xiaohao before, and Xiaohao withdrew from the competition, so he wanted to defeat Xiaohao in public. But Xiaohao didn't take him seriously at all, and didn't give Inga a chance to speak. He wanted to end the game quickly. But he didn't want to. Brother Ying knew that his left leg was injured and kept attacking his left leg. Xiaohao had to fight again. Finally, he threw Brother Ying to the ground with a beautiful shoulder throw and then punched Brother Ying in the head. However, Brother Ying was not weak either. He quickly found an opportunity to kick Xiaohao. After all, Xiaohao was injured. Finally, Brother Ying forced him into a corner. Fortunately, all his attacks were blocked by Xiaohao. Then Xiaohao started to fight back with his fists. Just when Xiaohao was about to take advantage of the victory, the top student in the audience suddenly kicked him. When Xiaohao came to his senses, Inga finally kicked him in the head, and Xiaohao felt dizzy. In this way, he still lost to the villain. At this time, Xiaoxi slowly walked up, humiliated Xiaohao first, and then kicked Xiaohao in the head. Xiaoxi had completely turned into a demon, completely blinded by anger. The minions who saw this scene also rushed up to join in, not knowing how much trouble this behavior would cause. When Xiaoxi's bodyguard appeared, everyone stopped attacking, and just when Xiaoxi was about to be taken away by the bodyguard, the school bullies found that Xiaohao had stopped breathing, and everyone was dumbfounded. They hurriedly left the scene, but were stopped by the bodyguard the next second. At this time, Xiaoxi was full of regret and pulled Xiaohao's hand to wake him up, but Xiaohao could never wake up again. Xiaoxi finally realized his mistake and pushed his best friend into despair step by step, but now everything can no longer return to the friendly state before. In the end, he was forcibly dragged away from the scene by the bodyguard. After stopping the remaining school bullies, the bodyguard asked them to delete the video, keep their mouths shut, and warned them that if the police asked them, they should say that Xiaohao fainted by himself, and even threatened them. Those who don't obey will all be taken to the juvenile detention center. Under the pressure of the bodyguards, the school bullies had no choice but to do as they were told. The next day, Xiaoan finished her exam and found that Xiaomai had called her countless times, so she called back. Xiaomai cried on the phone and told Xiaoan everything. After school, Xiaoan came to the hospital to visit Xiaohao, who was in a coma. Xiaoan blamed herself for not being able to protect her friend, and all the grievances turned into tears. Although the hospital rescued Xiaohao and saved his life, it was a pity that Xiaohao became a vegetable. Xiaoan walked silently in the corridor, with only one thought in his mind, that is, to avenge his good brother. It is intolerable, no need to endure it anymore. However, Xiaoxi and the school bullies on the other side did not know that a big battle was about to break out. First, Sean went to the school where the school bully was and beat the school bully in front of the whole class. After class, Sean asked about Xiaohao's experience, but the school bully seemed unwilling to speak. Then, Sean took out the ballpoint pen and stabbed him in the shoulder decisively. Finally, he told Sean everything and said fearfully that I was not there and it had nothing to do with me. Then he showed the video his friend sent him that day. Sean was furious when he saw it. After learning where Inga often trained, he came to him quietly with a stick. At this time, Inga was still concentrating on training, but even if Sean wanted to attack Inga from behind, he still felt the danger, dodged the attack, and even counterattacked with 2 punches and went back to fight with the opponent, which was obviously not Sean's strong point. At this time, Brother Ying punched him again, and Xiao Yan took the opportunity to hug his waist, then quickly pulled out the scissors and stabbed him, but unfortunately his moves were not enough, and Brother Ying threw him out, grabbed his hair and started to beat him. Fortunately, when Brother Ying was about to leave, Xiao Yan took the opportunity to untie his shoelaces and wrap them around his neck, and then threw him to the ground with force. Brother Ying kicked him again in anger, and Xiao Yan was like a sandbag at this time. Die. Fortunately, he dodged in time, and Inga's heavy punch also hit the dumbbell, making him scream in pain. Sean immediately seized the opportunity and broke one of his legs with the dumbbell. At this time, Inga also begged for mercy, saying that he was just hired. The real culprit of all this was Xiaoxi, but Sean had already understood everything and then broke his other leg with another punch. The purpose of this is to make him unable to box forever. On the other hand, Xiaoxi's father is going to arrange for his son to transfer to a foreign school and personally bring Xiaoxi to school to take the final exam. The reason for doing this is actually to protect his political achievements. However, when the exam started, Xiaoyan came in with a fire extinguisher. He first glared at Xiaoxi, then beat up the bullies that day. The teacher was shocked and called the police. After Xiaoyan dealt with the bullies, he was exhausted, but he still walked slowly to Xiaoxi. At this time, Xiaoxi stopped struggling and prepared to meet Xiaoyan's final blow. But when facing his old friend, Sean couldn't do it, and instead vented his anger on the school window. He didn't understand why things had developed to this point. Is it so difficult to study hard? In the evening, Sean came to Xiaohao again to visit him and slowly lowered his head. At this time, a golden light flashed, and Xiaohao woke up. When Sean saw this scene, he couldn't help but laugh, but unfortunately all this was Sean's fantasy. He wanted to go back to the time when the three of them were still friends, going to school and going home together, talking and laughing in class together, but unfortunately this was impossible. After the exam, Xiaoxi was sent abroad by his father. Originally, Xiaoxi's father planned to sue Xiaoyan and send him to a juvenile detention center. But after seeing his son's video, he finally had to compromise and resolve the matter at the cost of Xiaoyan's transfer to another school. But everything is far from over. Xiaoxi's father used his power to force all the schools in the city to refuse to accept Xiaoyan, but fortunately there was still a school willing to accept Xiaoyan, that was the notorious Enzo Middle School. It was not only the worst school, but Xiaoyan's class was also the worst. Xiaoyan sat quietly in his seat. At this time, a classmate came over and challenged him openly. Seeing this, Sean didn't buy it at all. The other party shouted that he would tear his mouth apart. But in Xiao Yan's opinion, this threat is nothing. Then, he took out a ballpoint pen and stared at the other party fiercely. Xiao Yan's new journey is about to begin. The plot ends here. If you like the video, please like it and follow me. There will be more exciting content in the next issue.